You've probably seen someone make a lot less money than you, and somehow they're building wealth faster. Not because they're smarter, not because they got lucky, not because they have some secret investment strategy you don't know about. And that's the thing that doesn't make sense until you understand one specific mechanism that separates people who reach $1 million from everyone else who doesn't. And it has almost nothing to do with how much you earn. I'm Yash, and I've spent a ridiculous amount of time analyzing wealth data across income brackets. And the pattern I kept finding broke a lot of the assumptions I walked in with. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you're going to understand exactly why most people stay financially stuck no matter how many raises they get, and more importantly, what the ones who don't stay stuck are doing differently. Let's start with the uncomfortable math. The median American household income is around $74,000 a year. If someone saved just 15% of that, that's $11,100 a year. Over 30 years invested in an index fund averaging the S&P's historical return of roughly 10% annually, that person becomes a millionaire. Not a high earner, not someone with a trust fund or a tech salary, just someone earning the median income who consistently deployed 15% of it. So if the math is that accessible, why do fewer than 10% of Americans actually retire with $1 million or more? The income argument breaks down completely when you run those numbers. Here's what actually separates them. It's not income, it's not discipline, it's not even knowledge. It's something behavioral economists call financial drift. And once you understand it, you'll see it everywhere, including in your own financial life. Drift is when your financial life moves by default instead of by design. It's when your spending expands to fill your income automatically, when your savings rate never gets formally decided so it just stays at whatever's left over, when you keep meaning to increase your 401k contribution after the next raise, but somehow never do. Drift isn't laziness, it's just what happens when you never build a system that makes the right decision automatic. And here's the thing about drift. It's invisible. You don't feel it happening. You just look up one day and realize you're 38 with $12,000 in savings and wonder where the money went. This is the part that made me genuinely angry when I first understood it. The financial industry isn't set up to help you fight drift. It's set up to profit from it. Your spending defaults are everywhere. Your credit card's minimum payment is set low on purpose. Your gym cable auto-renews. Your gym membership keeps billing even if you haven't gone in 6 months. Your 401k default contribution at most companies is 3%, not 15, 3. And if you never actively change it, that's where it stays. The whole consumer economy is designed so that inaction benefits someone else, and the only way to win against the system designed to capture your default is to design your own. Now, watch what happens when we compare two people who earn the exact same salary. Both make $65,000 a year. Both are 28 years old. Person A lives in financial drift. She gets a raise, her lifestyle expands, her savings rate stays flat, she contributes 3% to her 401k because that's what the company defaulted her to, and she intends to invest more eventually. She's not irresponsible, she's just not deliberate. Person B earns the same $65,000. He does one thing differently. He sits down for 2 hours, decides his savings rate is going to be 15%, automates that transfer the day his paycheck hits, and never thinks about it again. Same income, same discipline required after setup, but over 35 years, assuming a 10% average annual return, person B has accumulated approximately $3.7 million. Person A, saving the national average of around 4%, has roughly $985,000. Same salary, same market, a $2.7 million difference built almost entirely from a 2-hour decision made at 28. Stop. That number is worth sitting with. 2 hours versus $2.7 million. That's not about being gifted or wealthy or lucky. That's about whether you designed your system or defaulted into someone else's. But here's where it gets even more interesting, because income isn't neutral in this equation. It actually makes drift worse for a lot of people. There's a concept in behavioral economics called lifestyle inflation, and it doesn't just affect people who are careless with money. It affects smart, ambitious, hard-working people
who got exactly what they worked for. You earn more, so you move to a nicer apartment. Your car starts feeling old now that your colleagues drive better ones. You deserve nicer vacations because you're working harder. None of those individual decisions is wrong. The problem is that each one feels like a reward, so your brain files it under responsible, or at least earned. And meanwhile, your savings rate doesn't move. Your net worth barely grows. Your income went up 30% over 5 years, and you feel like you have even less to show for it. Research from the National Bureau of Economic Research found something that should rattle anyone who thinks more money is the answer. Across income levels, the correlation between earning more and saving more is weaker than almost anyone expects. High earners carry high debt loads at nearly the same rate as middle earners. Bankruptcy filings aren't dominated by low-income households. The NFL has done studies showing that a staggering percentage of professional athletes, people who earned millions of dollars in their careers, are bankrupt within years of retiring. Income without architecture doesn't build wealth. It just creates a bigger drift. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people are waiting for a number, a salary where saving will finally feel easy, an amount where they can afford to invest, a point where the sacrifice feels worth it, and that number keeps moving. It moved when they got the last raise, it'll move after the next one. The ones who reach $1 million aren't the ones who found the magic number, they're the ones who stopped waiting for it. So what do people who actually build wealth do differently? There are three specific behaviors that show up consistently across the research, and none of them require earning more money. The first one is what I call the rate decision. Not how much they save in dollars, but what percentage. This matters because a dollar amount erodes with lifestyle inflation, but a percentage scales with income automatically. If you decide you're saving 15% and you get a raise, your savings amount automatically increases without you doing anything. You never have to renegotiate with yourself. The rate decision also forces a reckoning with the gap between what you earn and what you actually live on. And for a lot of people, that gap is much larger than they realized. Most financial frameworks suggest somewhere between 15 and 20% of gross income toward wealth building, including retirement contributions. Your specific number depends on your situation, but the research is consistent. People who name the percentage outperform people who save what's left over. The second behavior is automation before temptation. There's a reason behavioral economists have studied this exhaustively. When savings hit your account and sit there, spending it becomes a real option. When it's transferred automatically before you see it, it's psychologically off the table. This isn't just theory. Studies on retirement savings behavior show that when contributions are automatic and require active opt-out, participation rates jump from around 49% to over 86%. Same people, same income. The only variable is whether the decision is made for them by default. The people who build wealth make their wealth-building decision once, automate it, and move on. They don't rely on monthly willpower. They don't make the decision again and again when willpower is depleted. They engineer around the need for willpower entirely. The third behavior is what I call the 24-hour forward rule. Every time they get a raise, a bonus, a tax refund, or any income increase, they allocate it before it touches their lifestyle. Within 24 hours of finding out about new money, they've already decided where it goes, not after they've deposited and lived with it for a few weeks, before. This sounds small, it's massive.
The behavioral research on this is clear. Once money integrates into your lifestyle baseline, it becomes psychologically difficult to remove. But if it never lands in your lifestyle to begin with, there's no loss to feel. Most people do the opposite. The money arrives, absorbs into daily life, feels like it was always there, and then the moment passes. One decision, made quickly, is the entire difference. Here's what this means for the million-dollar question. Because you're probably sitting here doing the math on your own numbers and wondering if it's too late or whether your income is the actual barrier. It's not too late if you're under 50. The math still works, and income is rarely the primary bottleneck.
I know someone who earns $48,000 a year in a mid-sized city. He automated 18% of his income at 31 after watching his dad work until 70 with nothing to show for it. He's 39 now. He has over $200,000 invested. Not life-changing yet, but he's on a trajectory that reaches seven figures before he's 60 on a $48,000 salary. The math isn't magic, it's just compounding applied to a decision made once and defended persistently. Remember the question I opened with? Why do people who earn less sometimes build more? Because wealth isn't a function of income, it's a function of the gap between income and lifestyle, applied consistently over time, automated so it doesn't depend on monthly motivation. The million-dollar barrier isn't money, it's the architecture around money. You're not broke because you don't earn enough. You're not stuck because the system is too hard to beat, though it absolutely is designed to work against you. You're stuck because nobody ever sat you down and said, make the decision once, automate it, defend it against every lifestyle expansion that tries to close the gap, and then wait. Not exciting, not complicated, just extraordinarily effective when applied over a decade. The first step isn't a big one. It's picking a percentage today, not a dollar amount, a rate. Write it down, then find the one transfer, the one 401k adjustment, the one automatic investment that makes that rate happen without your involvement next month. That's level one. Level two is what happens when the next raise comes and you apply the 24-hour forward rule instead of letting it dissolve into your lifestyle. Your savings rate climbs automatically, the gap widens, compounding accelerates. Level 3 is what that compounding becomes 20 years from now, and more than the money, what it buys you. The ability to leave jobs that drain you, to take opportunities that excite you, to stop making major life decisions based on what you can't afford not to do. The million isn't the point. The point is that you're no longer at the mercy of the drift. You built a system that works for you while you sleep, while you spend, while you live your actual life. You stopped waiting for income to save you and started designing around the income you already have. You don't need permission from your salary. You don't need to wait for a number that will always move. You just need to decide the rate, automate the decision, and defend the gap. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.